Lastly, the other thing we said is, okay, if we're keeping back replacement heifers, we might be also culling some older cows. This particular budget doesn't cull at exactly the same rate as our replacement heifers. We cull a few less. So we have cull cows in at 10 head. So out of 100 cows, we're culling 10, which means as I relate that to a 1 cow basis, that would be 0.10, okay? So this is our value of how much or how many we have. Now what we're going to do is we're going to figure out our revenue based on those percentages that we just included. So our revenue items are just like in the crops when we did yield times selling price. We do the same thing, but now we have weight times selling price. So I'm going to start down to the third row, which is our steers. And our steers are being sold, the units are hundredweights. So this is a 550 pound calf. 550 pound calf means it's 5.5 hundredweights. I'm going to take their weight and multiply by the selling price. So I'm saying I've got a 550 pound calf that's going to be sold for $195 a hundredweight. And I've got 45 of those to sell out of every 100. So when I bring that back to a 1 cow basis, that means I've got 0.45 of those to sell. So this amount column for our cow-calf enterprise budgets is going to be quantity times price times percentage, because I've got to get it back to how many of those I'm selling that are actually steers. Okay. So $482.63 again is found by 5.5 hundredweights times $195 a hundredweight times the 0.45 head of steer calves I have to sell out of every 1 cow. And I get this value here. I'm going to do the same thing with the heifers. So the heifers weigh 520 pounds. That's 5.2 hundredweights times a selling price of $176 a hundredweight. And I've got 33 of those to sell. So on a 1 cow basis, that's 0.33. So I'm going to take 5.2 times 176 times 0.33. And I now have the value of the heifer calves that are for sale, and that's $302.01. And our last item is our cull cows. So our cull cows, we say our cull cows are weighing 1,100 pounds, and we can sell those for $88 a hundredweight, 88 cents a pound. So I'm going to take those 11 hundredweights times the $88 per hundredweight selling price, and I'm going to multiply that by the number I have of those, which is 10%. So I'm going to multiply by 0.1, and I'm going to get an amount here of $96.80. When I add those all together, this gross revenue is going to be revenue. Gross means total. Okay, so when we use the word gross revenue, we mean the same thing as total revenue. This total revenue right here, $881.44, is our total for, on a 1 cow basis. That means that every 1 cow is generating approximately $881 in revenue. Okay, so what we are doing when we percentage this out is we kind of find the different aspects of where we're making money at from the calves, or in this case some cull cows, out of these cows, so that we can get a good picture of what we're generating in total revenue. Now it's pretty easy when we're just selling 520 to 550 pound steer calves or heifer calves, and we just sell them at weaning time. Then we could have just estimated the steer price and been pretty close. But if I was selling in a lot of different avenues, for example, if some of these steers were show steers and some of these heifers were show heifers, I don't want to value them at just current weaning weight price. I want to value them more at what closely I'm going to be selling them for. So that's going to be a lot higher value, so I don't want to end up assuming that my cows are only generating $881 a head, when realistically they are generating more because I'm selling some higher dollar items. Same way if you've got yearling bulls for sale, you're selling breeding heifers, whatever it happens to be, you want to include those higher dollar figures on how you're selling your product. Okay? When we get into the costs are pretty straightforward. That's going to be no different than you did on the on your crop budgets that we did previously. The only thing is we're a little more detailed sometimes, and we will be more detailed as we look at what we include in our cow-calf budgets, because we like to say and show how much feed we're using per animal. So we've got the amount of feed. So in other words, we're going to feed 1.75 ton to this cow unit, okay? And we're going to put in an expected selling price on that feed. We're going to do that for all of our different feed ingredients, all of the different things we have. Some of these are straightforward, they're amount per head. Sometimes we have other items where we need to figure some things a little bit more. Maybe some pasture maintenance. We're putting in $2 or 2 acres needed and $115 per acre. So there might be more computation with the cow-calf budget than what we were used to on some of our corn and crop budgets, but it's the same process. So we're still going to look at total revenue per head. We're going to look at total variable costs per head, and we're going to determine whether or not we were able to cover all those variable costs. If we can cover those variable costs, can we also cover all the fixed costs? Here's our fixture ownership expenses on those cows. We do include some value on ownership of the cow herself. So not only do we need some land charge, we also need some ownership cost for the cow. So a little bit more again than the crops had in them. And then we're going to get total costs. In this case, our total costs are a little less than these total revenue values. So we end up making $34 in profit per head. That's a pretty decent profit on a cow-calf setting. A lot of times by the time in a cow-calf setting, if I was selling only calves at weaning time, it's not always easy to cover all the costs and the fixed costs and find profit unless we're looking at prices that are pretty high like these. Now these are good prices that we had in this example in your textbook. So then we're looking pretty solid. Lower prices, obviously, it's pretty difficult to cover all cow costs, okay? So commonly we will look at a $600 to $800 cow cost per head. That's a pretty common figure in our particular area in terms of what those cost us. So we'll take a look at some more cow-calf budgets. I'll outline some of those for you so you can kind of see how are we going to do that for the ones we have to put in for our own operations. And so we'll put some more information into those.